Updates here from Pop Turnet is speaking to Jake Lockett about season 13 of Chicago Fire on NBC. Welcome to the show, Matt. Thanks so much for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
13 seasons. That's pretty crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, it's kind of unheard of nowadays. I mean, we got some of the other, NBC long-running procedurals as well, but I feel like we're one of the ones.
Sam Carver is a fan favorite. You recently became a series regular on the show, so congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That bump is always exciting when you read about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. Take us through those kind of moments where you were realizing that this was a real kind of special character and people were really kind of gravitating towards this character.
Well, I think it was in the first season, season 11, when, they started me in a place that wasn't like the most popular. You know what I mean? Like giving a character room to grow is such an awesome experience. As an actor and as an audience, you get to see this person become the person we want them to be, the person that we all want to root for. And, at first Sam was like, opposite of me. Like, I'm very much not great with boundaries. Sam was like too good at boundaries. And like to see him grow from that point, I was like, okay, there's something to this guy. He's got some depth. He's got some trauma, and we get to see all that.
So much happens before you go to camera on a season of Chicago Fire, right, Jake? There's all the conversations, figuring out stunts. There's so much going on. So from an acting storytelling perspective, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming Chicago Fire and after filming Chicago Fire. Or for you, do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps? I'm curious about that.
It feels like one big journey, to be honest. I mean, yeah, we have our hiatus at the end of every season, but the character never goes anywhere. There's conversations. I mean, the writers, I think there's only like 1 month maybe of crossover where they're not writing. So they're writing almost as soon as the show is finished filming. So there's so much happening all the time about the show that we're kind of always, just off to the side from the character, and then they just pop back up.
You can answer this specifically with Chicago Fire, but I feel like all the shows in the Chicago kind of universe, so to speak, whether it's, Fire, PD, MD, I feel like they're loaded with so many elements, right? Like Chicago Fire has, the, firefighting component, the action, but it's got the drama. It could be funny at times. It's got like everything. Yeah. What's that like? Seeing all those elements, like that script to screen journey, right? Like reading all those elements on script, like for an episode, and then seeing it come to life on screen. What's that like for you on Chicago Fire?
Well, I think that's the thing that, as a filmmaker, I'm sure you get, like, there's things that you anticipate when you read the script, right? Like there's things that are like just blatantly funny or like, man, this is going to be heavy. And then you get in there and the collaboration of actor, director, and the words themselves from the writers take form. And you're like, oh, I didn't see that scene like that. Wow, what a different experience. Like it goes from being something that you thought was gonna be super heavy to like someone's, brought, a bit of levity to it. So you get to see that. And I mean, that's what makes this job so amazing in general. It's like, not only do you have something that has so much history before you and forward but also like just working with people who are energetic and creative and passionate about just being on this job, that they bring something unique every time you step into the room with them.
Absolutely. And, it happened, I feel like specifically Chicago Fire as well, I'm just wondering because there are some characters that you can kind of like put this with more than your character, let's say. But, when you look at like the lost characters, right? Self-reflection, people figuring things out, finding themselves, especially like a lot of the characters that are like new to becoming the firefighters and everything. There's this like lost component, right, where they're figuring things out, trying to get their footing in life, right? And I'm just wondering whether for Chicago Fire or past projects maybe that you've like kind of come across with this, like, is it more fun or challenging to play characters that are lost and figuring things out? Because in a lot of ways, when we see them on screen, they don't know they're lost, right? If you think about it, it's interesting to think about.
That's right. I mean, I think that's, one of the things that kind of, as an actor, you recognize early on in a career is that, you're never, the person in real life never judges themselves, right? So they're always what they feel like in that moment, right? And I think what's interesting, again, about being able to play a character who has growth to happen, even though they're not aware of it, is that you get to be surprised every time you see a script. You're like, oh man, that's different, or this is different. And you get to work through that. Like, it's easy to think, oh, well, this is where they're going to be, but you really got to stay present So it's a really good exercise in staying present, not only as an actor in the moment when you're on set, but also as the actor in the presence of where the character is. So you can't anticipate or think of where the potential character could be. You got to really be in the character, in its moment, in its timeline.
This is more of kind of like a statement about something, an opinion that I want you to kind of like add to afterwards rather than a question. But there's a lot of content out there. There's different ways to consume this content. There are content that you can binge them. They all drop at once. You binge them. Then there's Chicago Fire, where we do that amazing traditional week-to-week drop. I like them both. I think there's a place for both of them. I really do. There's something about that week-to-week drop where you can kind of like talk about that episode, 2 days before a new one's coming out at the dinner table about theories of what's going to happen. There's something about that traditional week-to-week drop.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, there's room for both. I do find that I like a little anticipation. If I get it, like there's such an emotional roller coaster for the binging experience, because in the binging experience, you're like, oh man, yes. I'm taking this in. And then suddenly it's gone. You're like, man, what a 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 hour like roller coaster I just went on. And now I have an emotional kind of like reset that happens afterwards. Whereas with a week to week, you have the build up, the hit, and then you come down and you're like thinking like, what is about to happen? So I like you, I really agree. There is such a nice aspect to being able to like digest, take it in, and move forward in anticipation of the next thing. I think it's something that we should keep around, or I hope we keep around.
Absolutely. And specifically, getting back to what I was saying about like the dinner table conversation, the theories, like the Chicago Fire fans, like they love this show. They love the characters. They're on it. When did you start noticing how quick the fans were? Because that's the best thing about those fan bases, how quick they are.
They're amazing. You like the amount of people in the comments on social media and just hitting you up with like, no, do this. Oh, come on. Or I can't believe that you're doing this. Or no, don't do that. Do this. There's so much opinion. I mean, that's also why this show is so loved by so many people, is it inspires conversation. It inspires reaction. So I mean, I can't say enough about how awesome the fans are and how much they invest in who we are as characters.
Absolutely. A couple questions here before we wrap up. No matter whether you've been on a set one time or thousands of times, you're always going to learn something new, right? Based on kind of who you're working with, the material and everything, you're always going to learn something new. What are some learning experiences for you from an acting storyteller perspective on Chicago Fire that you'll be able to take from that job to other jobs specifically?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like when you get on set, like you have to trust in the people around you, whether it's the director or your castmates. There's so much. It's so easy in the world of an up and coming actor who is auditioning a lot that feels very introspective, and you don't allow for the communicative process that happens when people are actually having a conversation. And when you're on set, you have to trust that what you're giving is received, and what they're giving, you have to turn around and receive it yourself. Yeah. And I think people can't, if there's one thing that I want to continue to allow to be like sunk into my like muscles and every fiber that I am as an actor, is that when you're on set, that is where you live. Like if you can live in that presence with the other person, it takes care of itself. If you need to be redirected, the director will do that. But if you're just there with your own, it's going to be honest and be real, and it's going to produce something special, kind of that special thing that we always watch when we're watching someone on stage or in a movie where you're like, man, the air just got a little bit thicker. Yeah. Like something just happened. I feel like I can reach out and touch them even though they're across the room.
Oh, that's so well said. And, last quick question here. I mean, we established, right? It's a show that has many elements. We established that the fans are, very with it. They're very passionate about it. Obviously, the answer to this question is probably maybe you try not to do this, but given what I just said, are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Chicago Fire while you're making it? Or is that something that happens a little bit more when you rap? Because obviously you try, as an actor, the craft, you want to be present, you try not to. But maybe it's hard sometimes, those like conversations with the director or like at lunch. You know what I mean? I'm curious about that.
That's a great question. I think, you know what, in the process of filmmaking, as I'm sure you know, like there's so much going on around you. Just staying present with regards to where the camera is and where you need to be for this light, making sure you're in your light, making sure you're not being up. Like I don't know that my brain could even fathom what's actually happening to the audience when I'm filming it. So luckily, I think there's enough distraction that it's not really an issue. There's definitely thoughts and conversations beforehand and afterhand with other castmates, with directors and stuff. But I think when you're actually when the camera's rolling, it's like, ideally, you're right there with the person across from you. And they do such a good job. Our crew is amazing. They do such a good job at allowing us.
Crew. Let's give a shout out to the crew.
That's what I'm talking about. Our crew is amazing. Not only do they like just have good energy with us always, but they're also so good at allowing us when we need to be in our space to protect that. They protect it so well.
Absolutely. And, season 13 of Chicago Fire episodes rolling out weekly on NBC. Jake, so great chatting with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Dude, thank you so much. Your energy is phenomenal. Like, anytime you want me to come back on and say what's up, just hit up the team and we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Like I said, yeah, so episodes rolling out. I appreciate you saying that. Episodes rolling out of Chicago Fire season 13 on NBC. They can check that out. Season 12, man. Talk about cliffhangers. Holy smokes.
Oh my God.
I did not do that intentionally. Holy smokes. I swear I didn't.
No, it works out.
You have an Instagram account, right? Like that people keep updated with everything?
Yeah. So my Instagram is DJ Lockett. Just at DJ Lockett. You'll find everything you need to know about me there. There's a lot of other sites out there, but that's a good one. And yeah, next week, everyone tune in. We got the premiere of season 13. And let me tell you, like, especially if you were keeping up last year, it's nothing but a banger for a first episode.
I see all the comments online on all the groups, already figuring it out, bringing up your character and everything. It's like, I can't wait for people actually to see it. But yeah, season 13 of Chicago Fire on NBC. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, until next time, this is Jake Lockett and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.